coming to you from deep beneath the murky waters that lie beyond the Lake Erie shoreline. This is the Cleveland Podcast! With Fred the Mud Monster and South Bay Caesar. Find us online at facebook.com/The Cleveland Podcast or email us at theclevelandpodcast@gmail.com. Now, join us as we journey through Northeast Ohio and the city of Cleveland.
Welcome to The Cleveland Podcast, the place with the most impressive bullshit you can find. I'm your host, for today at least, Fred the Mud Monster, with my friend Caesar.
How you doing, Fred?
Good. You like salad?
Oh,
Don't worry, you'll come up with something for me, like you like mud pies or something a little bit, something punny. Today we have another guest. That's right. Will didn't scare this guest off, so thank God. We have our second guest in our podcast history, a man of interesting stature. Jacob Chabowski, a man who is a photographer at John Carroll University, a marketing coordinator at Redbird Promotions, fan service at Cleveland Indians. Obviously, this is not his whole. He only does the marketing coordinator and is a self-employed photographer.
Yes, I can't do the 5 jobs at once. An excellent pronunciation on my name.
Oh, thank you.
Flawless execution. Half
Thank
Polish, for those wondering.
Or I could also go Chabowski
Or you could do French, Chabowski.
or Chabowski.
You could do Chubs. Some of my friends just say Chubs.
Chubs.
Too lazy to say Chabowski, so.
Fair enough. So let me ask Jacob, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a good day. I had my chicken tenders for dinner, and then I came here early for the podcast, spilled some water on the desk around the expensive podcast equipment, and ready to go. No.
where did you get your chicken from?
The freezer, Tyson. They're chicken tenders.
You know, Tyson's gotten a whole bunch of water before. You ever see how they raise those chickens in the farm?
I've heard a little bit about that.
It's pretty bad. Like, they literally break the chicken's leg, and it's like, you fat mother flipper will sit there and just produce eggs and then die for the glory of the money.
Now I want to boycott Tyson, but I can't because I have like a Costco-sized bag of these chicken tenders that must be eaten. But of course, you tell me this after.
Somebody has to eat Mr. Chabowski.
It's my dinner for the next 3 days.
Exactly.
I live out of a microwave.
We're going to do a little bit of something different this time. We're going to have our first official segment. Caesar, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, really, it's Jacob because, well, Jacob is originally around the Cleveland area, technically from North Olmsted, Ohio.
Hometown. And then John Carroll grad, which is also Cleveland. So
I mean, I like to call it just Whiteyville. I mean, it looks
Which
like
one, North Olmsted or John Carroll?
North Olmsted.
North Olmsted, yeah.
I mean, literally, you see like the wooden bridge, and I think white people.
Yeah, it not known for its diversity. Nice big strip mall and some golf courses. And
There we go. Well, we're going to do something different today. We're going to do our first official segment. Hopefully, this becomes a thing. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Who gives a fuck? Anyway, we're going to do something that, since you're a native.
Yes.
I have this article right here from the Cleveland Scene, Cleveland News Source website. The 100 things every Clevelander must do. Now, I'm not going to tell you what's on the list.
Okay.
But I want you to list what you think are the top 10 things that someone should do while they're in Cleveland.
So you have the list in front of you, but I'm going to tell you what I think.
And then I'll reveal the top 10.
Top 10. Okay. Cedar Point.
Cedar Point.
You got to hit up Cedar Point.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to tell me I'm right as I go along, or am I going to do all 10?
No,
okay. Oh, good. So
10.
I'm going to have no idea how I'm doing. Okay, Cedar Point, Edgewater.
Edgewater, okay.
Hike in the Metro Parks.
Hike in Metro Parks.
Hike in Cuyahoga Valley National Park, which is not within the city of Cleveland, but close enough. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Browns game.
Okay.
Cleveland Zoo.
Uh-huh.
Gotta check out Ohio City Burrito, some of those places.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Aquarium.
Okay.
And Public Square.
Okay. Kind of right, but mostly wrong.
That's how I kind of figured. I was trying to do it rapid fire without thinking, because when I think, I get myself in trouble.
Yeah, that's right. You say some things that you regret.
Yeah. I also went outside of Cleveland for a couple of them, but
I'm really surprised that people put Cedar Point in that top thing.
I know, because Sandusky's like 2 hours away.
I mean,
It's only an hour away from where I live. I was really surprised how fast it was to actually get there.
Yeah.
And I think of Akron-Canton as Cleveland, but I don't really think of Sandusky as Cleveland.
I mean, Sandusky can't stand by itself. No,
True.
No offense to Sandusky.
Sorry,
but-
Sandusky.
Sorry,
All right, so here are the top 10 according to the Cleveland Seed.
I butchered this.
Visit Lakeview Cemetery is number 1.
Number 1?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been to Lakeview. I don't think I know where that is.
Well, let me read it. So Lakeview Cemetery is actually close by to our usual recording studio of Case Western Reserve University.
So I probably drove by it.
You probably did. Okay, so that's like, it's in East Cleveland. It's a huge cemetery. So this is the final resting place of John D. Rockefeller, Elliot Ness, Revolutionary War soldiers, Ray Chapman, and more famous and influential people than we have time to name. Lakeview Cemetery is also, of course, home to the President Garfield Memorial. The view from the second floor balcony is one of the most majestic and underrated in the whole city. Number 2, catch a CMA City Stages show.
Again, never been.
Bringing music from around the world to a stage across from the Transformer Station in Hingetown? Is that how you say that?
CMA, is that Cleveland Museum of Art?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think it's I think they call it Hingetown.
I've heard
the
of it.
Free City Stages Summer Series is a unique chance to catch acts playing tunes from everywhere from Central America to West Africa and in between, thanks to dynamic programming from the Cleveland Museum of Art. Number 3, go to the Cuyahoga County Fair.
Well, what if you're not in town when the fair is happening, though?
Well, then you still have to find a way to get there. Chabowski.
You can go to the empty fairgrounds.
Oh, whatever. Go to the Cuyahoga County Fair. Fried foods, animals, beer. I like the beer part. There are probably some other things we're forgetting for the moment. Oh, great. Thank you so much.
That's helpful.
Where are the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds? Is that in
Hold on.
Middleburg Heights?
So now way people know, we have a laptop now. We actually...
Oh, I know the answer. You can just ask Jacob.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the answer?
Berea.
Oh, Berea. Oh,
Yes,
my God.
Berea.
By the way, so that way people know, Caesar and I became really bougie, so we bought a computer to do our research. Instead of just looking on our phones like, I don't know.
We've hit the big time.
We've hit the big time because we now have over 50 followers.
And a laptop.
And a laptop.
What more could you ask?
Suck it. Okay, number 4. See a jazz concert at Nighttown. Jacob, you look like what?
I've just not done so many of these things.
Yeah.
Well, then you're not a real Clevelander.
The art museum makes sense, but I mean, like, I'm in Cleveland. I'm going to go see a cemetery.
I mean, then again,
like-
you're from North Olmsted, so.
well, but I tell people I'm from Cleveland because nobody in Texas has heard of North Olmsted.
True. There's no shortage of venues to see good music in Cleveland, but the only location bringing in world-renowned jazz artists on a regular basis is the top of Cedar Hill in Cleveland Heights. Nighttown's eclectic and unique schedule will show you something you won't see anywhere else in town. Number 5, Cabrew Canoe in Mohican.
Mohican? Oh.
Yeah.
Mohican's not Cleveland either.
Well, I guess, they're just cheating because there's nothing to do in Cleveland, I suppose.
That's what I'm getting out of this list.
That's unfortunate.
I went to
Cemeteries and
Mohican more when
museums.
I lived in Columbus than I do when I lived here in Cleveland.
Oh, really? Where is it?
It's about halfway. It's near a town called Mansfield, which is halfway in between
Oh, my
Columbus
God.
and Cleveland.
Mansfield. That's 2 hours away.
But then I can't... Loudonville or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've gone
So
camping.
it's a small town,
Yeah.
probably another 15 or 20 minutes away from Mansfield.
Really?
It is a very nice place to go,
yeah, it is, especially during the summer.
and it's a good place to take photos. However, I wouldn't call that Northeast Ohio. I wouldn't call that Cleveland. I wouldn't even call it Northeast Ohio.
That's just bizarre. Anyway, I'm not going to read that because that's not Cleveland. Tour the aquarium. So you got that
So
one.
I'm on. Okay.
Here's the description. Sure, it's not the shed, but what is the shed besides the shed? Stop comparing and simply have fun. The Cleveland Aquarium is one of the newest reasons to visit the West Bank of the Flats, and with regular special events and programming, there's always a fun option to get up close and personal with some sharks.
It's easy to take photos of captive animals,
I know, right?
especially fish.
You know, animals got feelings too, but
Except-
y'all just put them in the captive.
Except you get that reflection sometimes, like
Yeah.
when you're trying to take a picture of a
I
fish
know,
in
yeah.
the tank.
Don't use the flash.
Don't use the flash ever because the fish will freak out and then the shark will bite you.
First half of that's probably true. You know about the second half.
Oh no! You ever see a shark react after a flash because they're narcissists?
I just watched Aquaman. Have you guys seen that show?
You said Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Well, you said
heard
Aquaman.
Aqua.
Can you imagine?
Did you hear that?
I'm
Yeah, I
a
heard
superhero
Aqua.
and I can hear documents talk. And Declaration of Independence is George Washington going, "We are free."
But people first realized Aquaman had superpowers when he was a little kid, and somebody was picking on him at the aquarium, and then the sharks got pissed, and then they started like beating on the glass, and they wanted to attack.
Oh, there we go. See? So, therefore, don't piss off a shark. Right. Now, let's go to number 7. Ice skate on public square. So,
All right.
ish,
I got
sort of.
I got half that if the time of the year is right.
And the sad part is, I mean, it's only in the winter, right? For the ice skates.
For ice skating, yeah. You need winter to have ice.
I mean,
If we can call Loudonville Northeast Ohio, then we can call Akron Northeast Ohio. And the Akron's Lock 3 outdoor skate, that's a really cool place to take some.
okay, so then we're making a recommendation to go over there then. Because public square is an interesting place. I do love it, but I don't know if necessarily for ice skating. But they do say there aren't many rinks smaller than the one that
It
goes
is.
up each winter.
It's very
on
tiny.
renovated
And
public square.
You have all of public square, and they do this little tiny oval.
And Lock 3 in Akron is the biggest outdoor ice skating rink in Ohio, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so therefore we're not going to read that because we're just going to go
You need
Akron.
to go to Akron.
It's still not
Exactly.
that big.
But still, it's the biggest in Ohio. Caesar.
This is a sad commentary on Ohio's outdoor ice skating rinks.
Yes, I just called Caesar Fred.
Sometimes I almost do that too.
Fred the salad monster. All right, number 8. Visit the Schwitz. Oh, the place where it's like a Jewish bath.
East side? Where is that?
East side. You actually get nice meats, not the meat to eat. Okay, so here's what it describes. Shh, that's what it says. You gotta know a regular at the Schwitz to get in, and it's men only. Sorry, Jacob. But once you enter the hollowed doors, you'll enjoy pampering you won't find anywhere else.
Yes.
Steam, steak, wine await. Check out our story on the Schwitz, clevescene.com/Schwitz to learn more about one of Cleveland's best secrets.
These are some bizarre.
These are all of Cleveland's
Choices.
best secrets,
Yeah.
I guess. Or
Well,
secrets, at
I
least.
guess it's like you think about it, it's like, well, you can always use the typical ones, like go to the Museum of Art, but then you want people to come in and click on your page, right?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, here's
I guess good on them for being unique, I suppose.
unique. Eat a Polish boy. Literally, Jacob, we have to eat you.
I've had Polish boy.
Sorry, Jacob. We brought you here. We're changing the Cleveland podcast to the Cannibal podcast.
My God, thank you guys so much. I'm happy to be the first entree you've had during the podcast.
Okay, here's the description. The city's signature Sammy, bun, sausage, coleslaw, fries, barbecue sauce. That's what I see when I look at you. It's seriously delicious and utterly Cleveland. The origin story, if you didn't know, Virgil Whitmore launched his first barbecue shop in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood back in the 1940s before opening the more popular Whitmore's Barbecue at East 85th and Cedar. Has anyone gone to that? Maybe it's not around anymore.
I was just going to say, best Polish boy I had, it's closed now, but Hot Sauce Williams over there on Carnegie, kind of by East 55th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Closed a year or two ago, but I loved it. Went there only a couple of times.
Okay.
Don't know why they closed it.
That's not in a Polish neighborhood, is it Polish?
No,
food?
Polish neighborhoods like Slavic Village, but Hot Sauce Williams, I wouldn't label it exclusively Polish food, but they did make a good Polish boy.
Okay.
I think it was more
Okay.
like barbecue food.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Whitmore's grandson, Larry Turner, who now runs Mount Pleasant Barbecue, says that it was his granddad who first decided to combine ingredients that he already had on hand into the messy sandwich. Get one and get extra napkins because Jacob is tasty. Finally, number 10, take a trip on the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad.
I got that one.
I know. So
I'm really surprised because when I said that, I was like, that's kind of a stretch.
So you're like, I don't know, 3.5. So you're like Shaq on the free throw.
But I have issues with this list.
I do too.
I have some major issues. I mean, the zoo, like we do have one of the best zoos in the country.
We do. I've been there, and I love the giraffes. Mm-hmm. The giraffes are really nice. You know, giraffes have purple tongues.
Do they?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I forgot why, but they do have these purple tongues, and of course, they're really long. And if you ever seen a video of like a high school girl that made out with a giraffe or kissed it, it was one of the weirdest things ever. But I'm like, that giraffe is one lucky man.
Why does that video exist?
I don't know, but there's many reasons why do certain videos exist?
Wait, which website did you find this on?
It was like a Vine.
Oh, okay.
It was not like, nothing really like shady or seedy or, sexual. It was just kind of like a joke. Okay, so here's what this describes to number 10. Not everything on the list is in Cleveland proper. No shit. But there are certain Northeast Ohio expeditions that we'd be crazy to exclude. Here's one. Take a trip on the country's only nonprofit heritage railway operating in a national park through the 33,000 acres of the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Very beautiful. Recommend to do that. Of course, Caesar's probably taken many a hike through that park.
I did the hike and ride or something. I don't even remember the name of it, but I think we only rode like the train for 5 miles and then it let us off and then we hiked back. And it was a pretty strenuous hike back.
Well, in that case, thank you, Jacob, for being like Shaq and missing most of your three votes.
For being disappointed. Well, again, it's the list. It's not me. It's the list.
It's the list. But, of course, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to go down the 100 list eventually. But for now, because we want to tease our audience, we're only going to stick it to 10. Next thing that we have on our list is, because last time we were trying to talk about food, but then Will, of course, became too intoxicating for us because of his sports stories.
Yeah.
And very factual sports stories that he would list off the top of his head. It was nuts. We're going to do food with you as well, Mr. Chabowski.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we have the top 10 restaurants according to TripAdvisor. Well, of course, there's many categories. So I want to ask you, what's your favorite cuisine?
Oh, gosh, that's fried food. I'm just anything fried. Does that count as a cuisine? Polish food. Like I'll do some kielbasi, Italian food.
I do have the top 10 general ones.
Yeah, let's go in that direction. I'm not a foodie. I'm probably like not the resident expert when it comes to foodie, but I definitely have like my usual spots that I hit up.
Right.
Yeah, what are your usual spots that you like to go to?
So I love the Tremont area. So South Side, amazing food. Huge fan of it. Was actually just there a few weeks ago with some friends. Treehouse, great spot to grab some food as well. Usually known more for their drinks, but they got some good tater tots and stuff going on there. Tacos, huge fan of tacos. Have to say Barrios, but also Bomber, which is like a Barrios light, kind of a ripoff. But I live right by Bomber in Rocky River, so that's kind of like my spot. It's like my Cheers spot where I'm like that guy that shows up for a drink, watches a ball game, gets a couple of tacos.
And there are a few of both, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think Barrio's original location was Tremont, and then Lakewood, and then they've got one over in like Cleveland Heights, I think. I think that's one of their newest ones over there. Ohio City has some good spots as well. Townhouse is probably my favorite out in Ohio City. Great atmosphere. Absolutely terrific. And then Tommy's out in Coventry on the east side. Those are kind of my usual.
What is
spots.
Tommy's?
So it's like a sandwich shop. So it's right there on Coventry, pretty popular with John Carroll students. And they're known for their sandwiches and their milkshakes.
Did you say Coventry?
Mm-hmm. This is out on the east. So this is actual Coventry.
Oh, okay.
It's only about maybe 10 minutes away from here. Yeah. Actually, if we go further east.
John Carroll's over here.
Yeah. John Carroll's on the east side, maybe like 5-10 minutes from Case.
Right.
So, yeah, those are kind of like my spots, I guess.
Okay, so I actually found the top 10 for fine dining.
Okay.
So we're going to go with those because obviously our audience is very sophisticated and very bougie. Here we go. Fine dining. The number one spot is Lola Bistro and Wine Bar. Have you been there?
I have been there.
Oh,
my sister's graduation, we went out there, and I think I had the steak, as a matter of fact. I had steak and then a little glass of whiskey as well. I was like, sister's only graduating once, so.
So might as well go all out.
Might as well just run that bill up. But fantastic, great atmosphere. I know that they had a bunch of the All-Stars after the game head over there as well.
La 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 la.
Well, it is owned by Michael Simon. You ever hear Michael Simon, like the Iron Chef, the bald guy?
Yes.
He does actually love Italian food, so that's kind of nice. I actually went to Lola's, and I had my first gin there.
Was there a special occasion you went to Lola's? Or just...
My dad's birthday.
Nice.
But
it is a special occasion type of place. Most people just don't go on a typical Tuesday.
But the thing was, I didn't know that you're supposed to sip gin slowly. So I see this shot-looking amount of gin, and I just took the whole thing in one gulp.
Oh.
And, well, it wasn't that bad because I'm a fairly large mud monster, so it didn't really affect me that much. But still, I felt a headache. I was, oh, boy. But at the same time, I felt like Snoop Dogg, though, where I'm like sipping on gin and juice, but just the gin.
But you weren't sipping. You were swallowing whole.
Or taking shots of gin.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a long day.
The number 2 fine dining place is Fire Food and Drink, which is a contemporary American restaurant.
Where's that?
Hold on. It's in Shaker Square, Cleveland. 13220 Shaker Square.
Okay.
Come on, Jacob.
Okay.
Get your fine dining up.
I'll head over there right after the podcast.
It's one of the most expensive places too. So,
ooh, then it must be
there's
good.
a very cool diner there. I'm gonna look it up.
But I found a picture of the chef. He looks like a serious chef here, Jacob.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like serious chefs. Have some fun. Food's supposed to be fun. Don't take it so seriously.
Well, they also looks like they have a very good beef soup, apparently.
Beef soup?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've had beef soup.
I think that's what it is. I mean, or maybe it's just beef in a pot.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a lot different than beef soup.
Well, listen, it looked like beef soup to me, okay? Then, of course, getting past the page. Number 3.
Oh, wait. So Michael's Diner in Shaker Square, pretty great. It's actually in the train station. So as you're waiting for your train, you can sit there. I mean, I don't know how good the food is. It's just diner food.
But still, diner food can hold you over.
I'm not a foodie either. So for me, the atmosphere and the experience is every bit as important to me as the food itself. Yeah. So when I go to a restaurant, I like to have like this ambiance or this cool experience. And if I remember right, I was probably one of the only white people in the restaurant when I was there. Trains were going by as you're sitting there eating, and everybody was really cool, and it was a fun place to eat.
Absolutely. Around the restaurants where I saw a major argument between an old man and the train operator. Yeah. Because the old man was like, why didn't you pull up to the exact spot?
You've told this before.
I know. Fred sometimes doesn't have a good brain. Moving on from that,
I don't get to hear how the story ended. Did they reach a resolution to their conflict at least?
Not really. One just cursed each other out and then left.
Oh.
But the important thing was that Beyonce was playing, and I was feeling like I was willing to dance to like Beyonce and people cursing at the same time. So it actually worked. That the cursing kind of matched the rhythm of the song.
There you go.
But number 3 is Edwin's. You ever hear of Edwin's?
Yes, that's in Shaker Square as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I'm surprised there's so many like high class restaurants in Shaker Square. Like it's not. I would think they'd be more concentrated downtown.
Well, I guess Shaker Square's just got a little more money.
I guess.
But Edwin's is, for those who don't know, Edwin's has a really cool feature where those who work at the restaurant, a good number of them are actually ex-convicts. Quite a few of them, and they get trained.
I like that.
And so now, you get these people who, this is a second chance for them.
Yeah.
And, they do a great job. They're so attentive. And, I've gone there like twice. Mm-hmm. And I remember just like how attentive they are. I'm like, sheesh, like, this is incredible. They really are like taking that chance. And, of course, obviously, if you're trying to get out of prison, this is a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
And seeing these guys making like bananas Fosters and all that stuff, it's really amazing. Number 4 is the Blue Point Grill, which is seafood, high-class seafood. Supposedly has great views of the city. You ever hear about that one, Jacob?
I have not, no.
Well, then in that case, it's just boring. So in other words, Blue Point Grill, sorry. Then, finally, we have Dante.
Okay, I have heard of I don't think I've been there before, but I have heard of Dante.
Supposedly, it's American, vegetarian-friendly, vegan options. A very interesting, basically all very foo-fooey, high prices, But then again, Cleveland has many wonderful places to eat.
I take issue with this list as well, though. Pier W in Lakewood. In Lakewood.
Who's this one by?
Dante?
No, who is this list by? Which website?
Oh, TripAdvisor.
Okay.
Okay. Well, again, I guess I just don't like
Isn't
lists.
TripAdvisor, aren't those voted by people who...
Been there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, it's about the amount of reviews too.
Right.
So for instance, Lola has the most with 1,443. But overall, I think it's just really interesting to see like all these really fine dining places that you think in a city that's more about bars and bistros than anything else. But anyway, that is our 2 segments that we hope to continue for future guests. But we're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk about the photography of Mr. Chabowski.
Is that what I'm here to talk about? So I'm here to talk and not be eaten.
Oh, fair enough. Fair
Finally.
enough.
All right.
Polish boy.
All right, Cannibal Caesar. Turn off the salad and let's eat them.
All right. Dinner time.
Fitness Revolution presents the Speaking Squat. Have you ever wondered how exercise can relate to public speaking?
How?
You will find out if you come to this event on August 3rd. That is at 11:30 a.m. It'll be at Fitness Revolution, Westlake, 29201 Center Ridge Road, Westlake, Ohio.
Be there or be square.
Speaking Squat.
That's right.
Hello, my name is Shaquille O'Neal. Welcome back to the Cleveland Podcast.
Thanks, Shaq. I greatly appreciate it. I'll drink your sugar and coated tea from now on, and soda.
You're welcome. Watch the Cleveland Podcast. Oh, sorry.
Watch it?
Listen,
What's Shaq been doing tonight?
I've been doing many amazing things. Don't ask me questions. Mr. Chabowski.
You sound a little bit like Trump there.
A little bit of Shaq
like-
Trump.
If Trump and Shaq had a baby.
Hello, my name is Shaq Trump.
Okay, on a more serious note, we are back with our guest, Mr. Chabowski.
I'm still here, still alive.
And somehow we did not fully finish you off.
No.
Only an arm came off.
Just the limbs.
But then again, I lost a part of my eyelid because you stabbed me. So there we go. Anyway, on that note, other than the fact that I'm bleeding from my eye, we're going to talk about actual serious things like photography.
Very serious subject.
Very serious. 100%. You know, Caesar does photography.
I do.
I've seen. Pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
Take pictures of Frisbee players in very intimate moments.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Intimate moments, like in the bathroom.
Oh, like a money shot.
Oh.
The money shot is in the bathroom. Nice.
What are you guys doing on break?
No, but you do great. You do take great photos.
Oh, thank you.
Because you see the dynamics of the air. It's an aerial battle between two people just hopelessly trying to smack down a disc.
I just try to point the camera at people, and then I try to like just shoot as many times as possible.
And just hope that they're doing something
Right.
during the time that you're taking the picture.
Absolutely. All right, but we're going to move, though, to the actual photographer. Sorry, Caesar.
Oh,
Credentialed photographer.
We're credentialed photographer. See? He's really official.
Yeah.
I do have a couple questions for you.
That's good because I'm the guest, so I was kind of expecting some
That's right.
questions from the host.
We're so bougie, we have questions.
nice.
All right. Obviously, I've written them down because my brain's too dumb to remember them. So let's talk about that big event you did where the Kelsey brothers, twins? Are they twins?
Brothers.
Brothers.
I don't think they're twins. I think there's a few years between them.
By the way, this is Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey, correct?
Correct.
Two
Yep.
NFL football players.
And
Jason-
Pro Bowl. All pro.
Both
football
of them,
players.
I
I didn't know
Both
about
of them
Jason.
Pro Bowlers. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Jason's the center, I think, for the New England Patriots, Super Bowl champion as well.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, everyone plays for the Patriots at some point, so we'll just count that as something in the future, a prediction.
Yes, you heard it here first. Breaking news.
And then, of course, the other Kelsey is the very famous tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, playing for the ketchup bottle quarterback, Pat Mahomes.
Travis Kelsey. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that event. So what happened?
So, their publicist reached out to me a couple of weeks before the event, and it was actually a fundraiser for Cleveland Heights High School Heights kids. Travis and his brother actually both graduates of Cleveland Heights High School, so they do a lot of fundraisers. This was like a fashion show that Travis primarily organizes. And I think in years past, it's been in like Kansas City and a couple other cities. So this was the first year that it was in Cleveland. So his publicist reached out to me a couple weeks before the event looking for photographers. Big scale event, had it at Red Space on Superior, kind of just east of downtown. So really big venue, VIPs, athletes, red carpet, the whole 9 yards. And she reached out asking if I'd be open to shoot it. And I've been shooting event photography for probably 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's most of the photography that I do is event photography. I don't really do a whole lot in the studio. So, it was a large scale event. She had a couple other photographers there as well, which I actually appreciate because a lot of people, when it comes to photography, they think they just hire one photographer and they're good. And they're like, okay, here's a 5-page shot list that we want you to get, basically be in 3 places at once. So I was actually really happy that she had a couple other photographers there. The publicist did, very well organized, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, they ended up raising over $80,000.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and there was some pretty intense bidding going on as well, because obviously you had like signed Kelsey jerseys and ticket packages, and I think there was one guy that bid over a couple grand for a plane ticket and a ticket to a game out in Kansas City. So there was some serious head-to-head bidding going on.
Ooh.
Got him close to 40 grand, and then the Kelseys doubled that. So that's how they got to 80 grand. So it was a lot of fun. Lighting, obviously a huge issue. I mean, they kind of went for the nightclub feel.
Right.
And it's a fashion show as well. So the lighting's really bad, all different colors of lighting. So it was a struggle to shoot, a struggle to edit, but it was a lot of fun. And again, it's events that you're not going to get to if you're not a photographer.
Didn't you also meet them?
Very briefly in the green room. I was just kind of introduced along with a couple of the other photographers. But my approach, especially to event photography, is look, people aren't there to talk to the photographer. They're not there to see the photographer, especially when you deal with athletes and celebrities. I'm not super impressed. There's not a lot of big names out there that I'd actually get like over the top excited to meet. Like, you know, I know who they are. I know it's cool to shoot and everything, but I'm not someone who's like, oh man, like I really want an autograph. So most of the time with event photography, I'm in the background, and there's some events I go to, like nobody even talks to me. And I think that's a good thing because I don't want to take away from the center of the event.
I lived in Nashville for a while, and pretty much every other person you meet is either a celebrity or close to celebrity. And after a while, you just kind of get tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? In Nashville, of all places?
Yeah.
There's a lot
the
of
country
people.
stars, and not even just country stars. A lot of old rock stars moved down there. A lot of Kirk Herbstreit moved down there. The Ohio State guy.
Oh, yeah.
He got tired of his people harassing his wife in grocery stores. And then like he decided that, all right, Nashville's the place I'm going to move because there's so many celebrities there. You just, all of a sudden you don't stick out as much as you would in a town like Columbus.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, my famous person I met was the president of the United States. Not Trump, but Obama.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he was speaking at an event, and then my mother, the mother mod monster, took me over there, obviously, and we made everyone dirty. And from there, we were decided to try, and Obama was just signing things and shaking hands.
Let's just be clear.
How did
you made everybody dirty.
Yeah, how
because
did
you're a
Secret
mud
Service
monster.
feel about
Exactly,
that?
yes.
How did Secret Service feel about the mud monster coming up on the president?
Oh, they like the mud. It's
they
much
did?
it's much
Okay.
better than threatening bullets and stuff. So
Yeah.
we got away with it. Pretty much then next thing I know, Obama's shaking hands, and then my mother goes, you gotta go up there, you gotta go up there. And I'm like, oh no. And next thing I know, I just stretch out my hand over all these midgets or people that are 5 foot. And from there, I see Obama. All of a sudden he reaches out, he grabs my hand, and goes, oh, goddamn, young man. That's a really muddy hand you got there. Indeed. I do, Mr. President. That's actually not what happened. But
What year was that?
Oh, this was good 2 years ago.
Oh.
This was during the election. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely an exquisite moment. And then, of course, I held out my hand thinking I never shower my hand. Then the next thing I know, I use soap on it. And then now the magical residue of Obama has washed away.
Why'd you do that? Why'd you do it, Fed? Wash
Well-
your hands.
Well, I mean, it's mud. What?
The mud monster. The mud monster doesn't wash his hands.
Listen, there's some types of mud that you don't want on you, okay? You know what's even in mud? Do you?
I don't know.
There is the dirt mud, and then there's the stuff the dogs leave behind mud, okay? And there is the dog left behind mud. So I have to clean that mud off, okay? Okay.
On behalf of society, I thank you for doing that.
One of my favorite one of my favorite hiking trails is actually a bridle trail too. And after a while, like what's horse poop and what's mud kind of becomes unclear.
Yeah, right. Everything's just a sloshy, miserable experience.
It's pretty disgusting. I try not to wear my shoes in the house.
Right. All right, but we're going to move on a little bit. Next question. So, obviously, you got into photography. You did the walk to walk with the Kelseys, but then you also did something with another Pro Bowl player.
Denzel Ward. That's right. Cleveland Browns. That was probably, a month or two before the Kelsey shoot. So that was my first shoot with the same publicist. She represents a number of athletes and celebrities. So it's nice when photographers can kind of work together. She originally reached out to Dan Morgan, who's a Lakewood photographer, asking him to do these events, and he kind of does in-studio stuff. So Dan kicked it over to me. And this was my first shoot that I did with her. It was a kids camp. So another charitable organization, which is great to be involved with these athletes as they do outreach to their hometown communities. And ended up, they were supposed to only have 200 kids. There was a glitch on the website that allowed 400 to register. So instead of having everybody register again or, turning away a couple hundred kids, they made accommodations for all 400 kids. And that event I was the only photographer at, but all the action was on the field, so it wasn't too much of an issue for me to hit all the shots on her shot list. And I must have done a good job because she had me come back a couple months later for the Kelsey shoot. So that event was a little bit easier because it was outside. The lighting was consistent.
It must have been because she liked your butt.
Yeah, no, that's what it was too. Yeah, I have that. I get a couple of comments on my pictures. The photographer had a nice backside, and I'm like, thank you for noticing.
Yes, basically, Mr. Chabowski is an Instagram thought.
In the comments section, that ass.
Yeah, it's on all the comments, all of my pictures, and I'm just like, guys, come on, I'm a photographer. I didn't go down that path. Like it's too late for me to go back.
You see, I'd love to take a picture of your wedding, but my cheeks are dummy thick. So every time I move, my cheeks clap and I can't, and it becomes distracting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just takes attention away from the couple.
Is that all I am to you? A piece of ass?
Indeed.
I am a photographer. It's hard.
Is that my business card? Look on my business card.
Oh yes, business card.
That's
many famous Instagram models have business cards, and you just go influencer. I'm like, influencer, really? I mean, let's call it that. I mean, unfortunately, underage young men who go, marry me. But anyway, moving on.
Yes, please.
Moving on some
Please
more
do,
serious.
please. I thought these were going to be serious questions.
Oh no, it's me. What are you talking about? Okay. So then, of course, you did Denzel Ward, Pro Bowl cornerback. And then, of course, I want to ask you, how'd you get into photography?
So I guess it's kind of how most photographers get into it. Pretty young for me. I was middle school going into high school, and parents had cameras lying around the house, and I just started shooting family vacations, pets, house pictures. I mean, whatever. It's just dumb stuff. Somewhere there's a box of like undeveloped film of like hundreds of stupid pictures that I took as a kid, which I never want to get that film developed because I don't know how many stupid pictures are probably on it. But when I got into high school, then I started to, take pictures around my campus, John Carroll University, and their social media team saw some of the pictures and reached out and started to ask if they could use a couple. And then one of the secretaries in the office was like, hey, we're looking for student photographers. So that was, maybe 5+ years ago. I was a sophomore at the time. And they kind of just threw me into it. I mean, the administrative assistant, she didn't really know a whole lot about photography. She didn't have shot lists or any of that stuff. So it's like, here's a camera, here's an event, come back in a couple of days, upload your pictures. No direction at all. So I was overwhelmed because I was getting paid for this. This was the first time people were paying for my photography. So it's like, I don't know what they want. I don't know what they're expecting, but I'm going to go out. I'm going to take a couple hundred pictures and hopefully some of them turn out good. And they did. They kept using me, and the events that they were using me for were football games, guest speakers, admissions events on campus, just usual college stuff. And that's kind of where all my connections came from. So now these other organizations that I'm working with, these other references that I'm getting, this network that I'm developing, it all one way or another traces back to that job at John Carroll University. So I'm really grateful for the university for taking a chance on me. And I still come back and shoot pictures for him, even though I graduated a couple years ago.
All right, that's excellent. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just got into photography just using my iPhone. Then went.
I've seen you. That's why I'm always like giving a thumbs down on all your social media accounts. I'm like, no, don't take my job.
I take good photos too. I like lights, pretty lights. Moving on. So, what particularly inspires you? What inspires you to take so many photos? Just the movement of people, or the artistry? What really gets you to? What really makes you tick as a photographer?
I mean, not to be cliche, but it's just the ability to make a moment stand still, the ability to capture a moment, whether it's at a high-profile athletic event or it's just a young high school student visiting a college campus for the first time. Thankfully, most of the pictures that I've taken when they capture human emotion tend to be pretty positive. I've been lucky that I've not really had to cover any, tragedies in any of the communities that I shoot in. But yeah, it's just the ability to make a moment stand still. And I actually did this series on my social media accounts a few months ago during the high school season because I was covering state hockey final, state football final. And it was doing like a side-by-side comparison after the championship game of the winning team, the joy on their faces, and then the losing team, sort of the look of defeat. And I really liked that series. I did it for the state hockey championship that Ignatius won and the state football championship that St. Ed's won. And that just kind of really reaffirmed that I'm doing the right thing. That's why I do photography, because it's just making those moments stand still. After the game's over, there's so much that's happening. People aren't going to remember those specific moments. So it's just, as a photographer, being able to make them stand still.
I think the nature of photography has kind of changed over the years. Like maybe 20, 30 years ago, before the internet was what it is today. Today you could Google any photograph that you could take at like a national park, like a place where everybody goes and takes photos. And there's a million of the same photos. Mm-hmm. And I think photography has kind of evolved to a point where, in my opinion, taking photos of people in the moment is almost like the most important thing that you can do.
I think so.
Today.
Yeah.
Like in this time. I hear people say, oh, I want to be a nature photographer. All right. But you're probably going to be taking photos of things that a million people have already taken photos of. But to take a picture of somebody and capture that moment, and for them to be able to have that is almost far more important than going to Mount Rushmore and taking that photo again for the 11 billionth time.
And I think that's the biggest challenge for new photographers is they come in and that's what everybody goes for is the nature shots. And, not to tell anybody how to shoot or what to shoot, but you're right. I mean, especially with iPhones, you can have some high school kid take a picture of Mount Rushmore on an iPhone, post it on Instagram. Most people aren't going to know or care who took that picture or that it was taken off of a phone. If it's a pretty sunset picture, it's getting the likes. And then you're there as a professional with, a $2,000 camera taking a picture of the same thing. People aren't going to care. Right. So you're absolutely right. That's really the only niche that's left for professional photographers is sports photography, photojournalism, capturing those moments. Because that's something that a high school kid with an iPhone isn't going to be able to capture as effectively.
And I think you can kind of see it on social media. At least I can. When I post a picture of a duck or a bird or a mountain or whatever, I don't get as many likes as when I post a photo of somebody that they love. You know what I mean? If you post photos of people doing something and you capture a moment, you kind of see those likes just like going up,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, like I said, you want to differentiate yourself. And that's why I do some landscape photography for fun once in a while, but I usually don't shoot stuff if I think other people have shot it, especially if other people have shot it better than I think I could.
Right. I remember going to Niagara Falls. I think it was about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And I got my camera out and I was going to take some photos of the waterfalls and I took a couple, but I looked around me and I saw a million people taking
everyone.
And I'm like, there's no reason to take a photo of this, I'll take a couple, but there's no reason to try to do a good one. This has been done a million times.
Mm-hmm.
After hearing all that, I feel terribly sorry that I posted pictures onto my social media. Now I feel bad. I won't do it again.
Niagara Falls?
No, I just taking pictures, pretty pictures with lights and
Buildings in downtown.
Yeah, right.
No. I still think that everybody should just enjoy photography if they take a great photo, they should enjoy that. But I think we're talking more like on a professional level.
Level. Yeah. But I mean, there's some people in the industry that they do kind of have that elitist attitude where it's like, well, that's not photography. If you take it with an iPhone, there's some iPhone like photography accounts out there that have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Right.
So I'm not on that train of like, you taking a picture of a building downtown off of your iPhone is not photography. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And especially if it's something that, like you said, you find satisfying or you're getting engagement on with social media, that's absolutely photography. But yeah, that type of photography is a challenge to people like me that do it on a professional level and try to make a living off it, because now, if you're the architect of a building downtown, you don't need to pay me by the hour to come in with my equipment and take a picture. You can just take it, or your intern can take it with the iPhone and get plenty of likes on Instagram.
Well, that's all well and good. Obviously, we now know the difference between a professional and just me going, it's so pretty.
Well, your photo that you posted, that you talked about in previous episodes, that was a really great photo.
Oh, well.
And sometimes, but that's not a photo that most people would go to Cleveland and take.
That's true.
And I think that's the unique challenge for photographers is to, while everybody's pointing their camera in one direction, you got to point it in a different direction.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I know for me, I hate like take a picture of Mona Lisa. Click. And it's like, you have all the bodyguards there and everyone goes like. I just go, I want something different. I want to find the beauty in the typical, I suppose. That's why I take certain pictures. Like I take pictures of the clouds, like the nature photography of sorts. But, for instance, taking a picture of sunset in downtown with Euclid, which is one of the busiest places in the city. And yet, that's like the last place you'd think of taking a photo. But I just saw the light reflecting off those buildings and the light shimmering off the windows. And I thought, click.
Right. And I think that's the modern day challenge for photographers is to find something different.
Yeah. And that's what makes an image is the lighting. A lot of people think it's the subject or it's the composition or the way you frame it. But yeah, it's also the lighting that really makes an image pop.
That's the same thing with the Renaissance paintings.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily a subject matter because it was done over and over again, religious allegories and tales, but it was about the mastery of shadows and light that create these dramatic, hulking figures of classic biblical proportions of clash and tail. And it's through light and understanding how that works. That's why you get masters like Da Vinci and Caravaggio, and you see these biblical tales which have been told and told over and over again, but the lighting makes the world of a difference. And that's been the case for hundreds of years. So totally agree with you on that. The amateur photographer.
Thank you for your validation of my opinion. I appreciate that, Fred.
No problem at all. But we're going to move on to another question. What subjects do you like to particularly draw upon? Is it the sports or something else?
I think people. Like I said, some of my top images are even images I've taken at sporting events. It's not the athletes on the field. It's the reaction after a game. John Carroll University and Mount Union University, huge football rivalry, not just in Division III, but at all levels. It's intense. They're two small schools in the same conference, very well respected. Mount Union had won every game dating back to like 1992. So I was a photographer for John Carroll back in 2016 when John Carroll finally beat Mount Union. And I had a lot of great shots during the game, but it was the shots of the people, the players, the staff, the university president on the field after the game. Those were the shots that when I came back with them, everybody, including myself, we were all kind of like, those are good shots. And I don't say that to brag for me as a photographer because I didn't stage those shots. But it was just the emotion on the game. There was one shot of one of the players hugging his father and his brother with tears in his eyes. Another shot of a player on one knee with tears in his eyes. And, like I said, for me, like as a photographer, that's when I'm like, again, I don't necessarily take credit for that because like those are moments that just happened with or without me being there. I didn't orchestrate that. That's what I draw my inspiration from. And that's what I try to do to separate myself. Because when you're in the sidelines of a football game, it's 10 other photographers, especially at a game like that. Everyone's taking a picture of the catch in the end zone. Yeah, you try to get that shot too, because that's what your editor expects you to come back with. But then I'm like looking at the stands, looking on the sidelines, even during the game. And like I said, if you asked me to list my top 5 or 10 pictures from that game, I don't think any would be of the action on the field. It's all sidelines, fans, post-game reaction.
See, this is why we brought you as a guest. That type of reaction right there, that is just lovely. But that is so eloquent.
Happy to contribute.
I've left a little bit speechless, and I usually I'll talk all the time.
I know. I'm shocked. My greatest accomplishment.
Make Fred speechless. If you do that, that's better than a Nobel Prize.
You were speechless for a whole second and a half after that answer.
Okay. So another question, obviously, that I would like to bring up is, well, actually you answered it, which would be why those particular subjects. But obviously we've answered that in detail. Do you have a particular artistic vision? When do you have something in mind? Do you have something that says, well, I want the line to go like this? Or is it kind of like on the fly?
I think it's kind of on the fly. It depends on the event. So going back to the Kelsey shoot from a couple of weeks ago, understanding the venue and also the nature of the event, I definitely knew I wanted to come back with some nightclub type shots. And so what I mean by that is low lighting, people dancing, and then also picking up the color from the strobe lights that were flashing. So I really think it just depends on the nature of the event. Like I said, if I'm going to an athletic event, I'm thinking sideline shots and post-game reaction. Right. So I don't think there's like a consistent theme from assignment to assignment other than focusing in on the people. But more specifically than that, it's really going to depend on the assignment. But I will usually try to walk into an assignment with a pretty open mind and say, okay, these are the couple shots that I think are going to be there. If they're not there, I'm not going to force it, But usually I try to keep an open mind. And like I said, that's the nature of event photography is you're trying to be in the background, you're letting the event happen, and you just want to be there when certain moments are taking place.
And some people are just more photogenic than others. And I don't mean that by like attractiveness or anything like that. I notice when I'm taking some sports photography, some people aren't doing something that is really all that interesting. You could take 1 million photos of that person and none of them are going to turn out great. And then you take another person. Like that's one of the things that I've noticed is I keep posting the pictures of the same people over and over again because they're the ones that are doing things that make it interesting. They're the ones that are jumping higher or running faster or they have this like, so I've noticed that some of the girls have like the greatest expressions on their face when they're playing sports. They're the most like happy or upset or and those are the things that really make a great photograph.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, female athletes, both at the high school level and the college level that I've covered, definitely will wear their emotions on their sleeves a little bit more. And I think that makes for better pictures. But I think the same is true when you're talking about facial expressions, specifically as it relates to athletes, whether it's men or women, is you're right. There's some people that it'll be the last drive of the game. It's all on the line. And there's just some players or coaches that are just, there's no emotion. They're like almost sucking on the side of their mouth. And then right next to them is just a coach that's got like, he's looking a hole through you with his eyes. Like it's piercing. So you're right. I mean, it also depends on the person. 10,000 pictures of the player that's got no emotion doesn't really mean much. So you kind of figure that out, whether it's an event or a sporting game that's taking place. You kind of figure that out early on is these are the people that are going to wear it on their sleeve. These are the people I want to watch. And then there's some people that are just much more stoic. And I say that as someone that I think I'm stoic. When I look at pictures of myself, I'm definitely the guy that's sucking on the side of his mouth with no expression. But you try to find the ones that are wearing their emotion on their sleeve.
I just like to call the people that are very stoic the ones that are sucking on the lemons. It's going like this.
Yeah, I've seen, and I'm like, how are you that stoic? Like it's all on the line. This is your high school, your college at the state championship, and there's just some people that I imagine as a coach you like those athletes that are on the field.
Well, it's being in the zone, right? The idea of being so focused that you just want to get the job done. And I think actually, the amateur photographer would like to give an expert opinion. I think actually those pictures of the stoicism.
I didn't bring my dictionary.
But the pictures of those being calm, I think it does say 1,000 words. We often, if you ever hear about something like in the military, the 1,000-yard stare, right? Yeah, have you guys heard about that term?
Yeah.
And you can tell those pictures. Their eyes are wide open. It just looks like they're So it almost look like they're seeing a vision of death itself, right? And they're just looking at the picture of a camera. They're looking at the lens of a camera. But the face is cold, not really much expression, but it's about the context. And I think when we have like those who are stoic, I think it allows someone to understand the context of a photo better. And I think that's what makes a photo is about, yes, we can talk about the subject, but it's about the context of that subject.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's where it really begins. Like my most liked photo was me saying, "Oh well, I was just walking by and I found the sunlight hanging down on the trees." But with context, people go, "Oh, that's beautiful." Otherwise, people go, "What is that?"
Right.
But because it's like the context of I'm walking and I just stumble upon it, people go, "Oh, that's really good that you just ran up on it," and just go click.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you try to put your pictures into context. A picture like that you just stumble across, downtown is definitely a lot more interesting than one that was kind of planned or thought out. So I absolutely think, because that's what photography is, it's capturing moments. And sometimes when you take the moments out of context, they don't really mean as much.
Absolutely. Okay, so obviously we got to give you now a boring question.
Okay.
So what type of equipment do you use?
So I'm a Nikon guy. Canon kind of seems to be the industry trend the last couple of years, especially with sports photographers, I've noticed. But I'm a Nikon guy, always have been. I use a D7100, so it's not a super expensive high-level camera. I've got my kit lens with me. Got 70-200, great sports lens because I shoot a lot in small college and high school.
How many different lenses do you have?
That I use the wide angle lens, the kit lens, 70-200, and then a 50 millimeter prime. So 4 lenses in my bag. To be honest, that's really all I need.
Right.
It's when you get into photography, you start looking at all these other lenses, all these other accessories. You're like, well, I need that. And then do I need it or do I want it? So another thing I always tell people is don't let yourself be limited by the gear that you do or don't have. The best camera that is out there is the one that you have right at that moment, even if it's just an iPhone. And when I started off at John Carroll, it was just a kit lens. That's all I was using in my subscription to Adobe. So other lenses out there, but do I really need them? No, not really. So, I mean, the stuff I have on me is enough to get the job done. And it's heavy, especially the 70-200. That's a heavy lens.
Well, that's very, very interesting. Obviously, my equipment's just an iPhone. I just go click, click.
How long did it take you to learn that? The click.
It actually took a bit longer than you think. I just kind of go, what's this white button do? I was like, I'm just kind of just pressing on it.
You had the camera facing your face too, so there's probably like 100 pictures of you with an angry face trying to take a picture of what's in front of you, and you've got it on your face.
Well, the hilarious thing is that my mother I love her, but she's a little bit technology deficient. She'd be the first one to tell you that. And I remember I'm trying to tell her how to take a photo, right? Mm-hmm. And she sees the white little button on the screen. She clicks it, and she's like, "Fred, it just took like 80 photos." I'm like, "Ma, that's because you did a burst." What's a burst? I don't know. And all of a sudden, we had to learn about burst and how that works. I think burst is an overrated function. Well, actually, let me ask the photographer.
I never really use it off my phone. I mean, if I'm shooting with my camera, then yeah, I'm going in burst mode because I'll take a picture of a catch like 20 times at every fraction of a second that I can. But
a split second later, it could be a great photo.
Oh, yeah.
But if you just took it one time, you could miss that by a split second.
Yeah, I mean, especially with memory cards, I mean, you can take 1,000 pictures and be fine. So I'm not an advocate for, they call it the spray and pray, where you're just shooting hundreds of pictures, not really paying any attention, hoping you get something good. Some guys will do that. I'm not an advocate for that. I do try to be selective, but yeah, I mean, take like 10, 20 shots of that catch or 10, 20 shots of that person giving a speech, and then you know that you're at least going to have 1 or 2 that are usable.
I think I heard a theory on photography once where somebody told me, you take 100 photos and maybe 1 turns out great, and then you take 1,000 photos and maybe you have like 10 that turn out great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of the same ratio where it's like you got to go in knowing what you're trying to shoot.
Right. Well, obviously, we're talking a lot about regular photography, but I do have I have another little segment for you,
okay,
Mr. Chabowski, related to some of the things about photography. A little more of a Cleveland twist. I found a page by the Mandages. Oh, Lord. If they ever come out, the representative's going to go, "No, it's Amanda Guy. Stop." Let's go. Whatever. But I have the 20 must-see Instagram spots in Cleveland. I want to get your opinion on whether these are the most Instagrammable, the best pictures of sorts.
Now, first list we did, I took issue with it, so hopefully this list is better than...
I also took issue with it.
Yeah.
I think we are unanimous.
I don't want to keep hating on them, but do better.
Right.
Do better.
But I think probably what they were doing is just trying to be different.
Original, yeah.
Different, yeah.
Points for originality.
So they say the first one is visit the Civic Center District at sunset, which is on Lakeside Avenue East and East 9th Street.
I'm going to say no to that just because I don't think I've ever been there.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's my rationale behind that.
Well, I mean, looking at the picture, it's just kind of a fancy cityscape with lights shooting up on City Hall. Really nothing that special. I'd say I took a better picture with that, and I just go around. Pretty. Next one. The next one is the Heinen's Grocery Store. This one's on East 9th and Euclid.
Yes, I know the one.
The interior with the
I was going to say inside, yeah, I'd go into their wide-angle lens. I don't know how they feel about professional photography in there, but I've seen some cool shots of that, so I give that one a thumbs up.
And this was a place where I think more than one movie has been filmed, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because of how
gorgeous it is inside.
Right.
So, yes, you can...
and even outside.
You can shop for food where movies have been shot.
Right.
Basically.
What more could you want, honestly?
What more can you want? You can imagine yourself going, Robert De Niro went through this grocery store. Al Pacino went through this grocery store.
I wonder what the adventurers got for dinner while they were here.
They got the little berries.
Yeah. Wonder what kind of bread Iron Man gets.
Well, one with lots of iron. Duh. Okay. Number 3, the Fountain of Eternal Life.
Where is that?
That's the fountain that's literally...
I think this is near the malls. I actually saw this earlier today, and it's a picture of a woman like reaching up in the air, I think.
Yeah, with a little bit of the water spraying out.
It's a mountain. Yeah. Or not a mountain.
We have mountains
It's a
in
mountain.
Cleveland? We have mountains. I never knew.
It's a statue. I don't know why I said mountain.
I'll give that one a thumbs up. I don't think I've really, again.
It's like right behind. It's close to City Hall, and then it's.
If you're gonna do statues, I would think like the monuments and stuff on Public Square would be a better call.
I just say okay if you want to take a photo of it, that's okay.
We'll allow it.
Yeah,
we're not excited about it. We probably won't like it on Instagram, but we'll allow it.
Well, that's very interesting. It's interesting though. You, the Clevelander, suddenly are not looking at all these little spots. For shame.
I don't want to keep hating on the list, but do better.
Okay, yours truly in Playhouse Square, 1228 Euclid Avenue.
That near like the chandelier and all that, or?
Well, it's near the chandelier, but yours truly supposedly has a great interior.
I don't think I've ever been in there.
Okay, well that's right. Yours truly, you suck.
Or either that, or I don't get out enough.
Probably. You look a little bit pale.
Yeah, I didn't talk to my first stranger until I was 20 years old. So
I saw this list earlier, and there were they were telling you to go inside places, which I'm not sure I want to walk into a private establishment and
you got to be careful. Yeah, you got to be careful too, because like Cleveland Arcade, if that's on the list, it shouldn't be, because no photography unless you have a permit for the Cleveland Arcade.
Look, lo and behold, what's number 5?
Are you serious?
The old arcade.
I mean, I've never shot in there because they are very strict about that. You can do weddings in there if you ask management ahead of time. Well, but the shots are pretty. I've seen pictures of people that have done it with permission. So I'll give that a thumbs up, assuming you can actually get your gear in there and not get.
So with a couple months reservation, yes. That's a good one. From there, we have the number 7. Oh, look. Number 6 is East 4th Street.
Yes. Definitely thumbs up. There's a bunch of pictures of it on my Instagram account that I've taken myself as well. Really cool twist on the lights. I was down there for dinner with some friends after it had rained. So I got down on my knee and took a picture just with my phone of the lights reflecting in a puddle on the street.
Ooh.
So
very nice.
Big thumbs up for that.
Absolutely. Also where Lola's is. So if you want to take a shot of gin with me, go on East 4th.
Dude, that would get expensive if you just went out for a night at Lola's just doing shots all night. That would get very
shots
expensive.
of gin.
Well, number 7, Coastal Taco,
which does not exist anymore.
There we go. All right, doesn't it?
I just learned that this
is that down in the flats? Or?
Yeah, it's down in the flats.
And that doesn't exist?
They closed their doors, and I think somebody else is there now.
Shoot.
Yes,
I just read that this week.
Because I actually saw this building when everyone was together for a party at the what's that place called again? The top?
Punch bowl.
A punch bowl, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna give that a thumbs down. Honestly, there's just not much down in that area that I'd bother shooting.
Right.
I don't know if it's a photography spot, but it's kind of a cool place to hang out.
Oh,
because there's
definitely
ships
is.
going by.
Yeah.
Like, through the Cuyahoga River. As you know, as they exit from Lake Erie into the Cuyahoga River, that's kind of like that spot where the ships are going by, and it's fun to just watch the ships go by.
Yeah, and it's amazing how they've redeveloped that entire area as well. So it's definitely a great hangout spot.
However, I'm not sure I'd put it on the photography list.
I'm not bothering with my camera, bringing it down there. I'm kind of judging these where it's like, would I bring my bag of gear specifically to this location to take pictures? East Fourth, yes. Coastal Taco, no.
I'm not sure what's there now.
I think it's like a margarita place. I think not Margaritaville, but something else.
Okay.
1 second, as my laptop is now dying. So we weren't bougie enough to get a laptop that lasts.
So now we got to go to the library and take out books. If we're on a topic where we don't know anything about it, hang on, I'll be right back.
Right. Well, luckily I do have my phone on me, so I already have the page pulled up because
Wow.
I think ahead of time.
A millennial has their phone with them. That's crazy.
I know. Okay, number 8. According to this, is Settlers Landing Park.
I've never been there.
I think that's also down in the flats, right? Log cabin.
Well,
area?
it says 44. That zip code says 44113. So I suppose that might be down there.
I have no idea.
I think it's a log cabin by the flats. I'll say yes. You got a really nice shot, assuming it's that area of.
Yeah, the park. This park is on the shore of the Cuyahoga River.
Yeah. So you got a really nice shot of. I think it's the Interbelt Bridge running into the skyline. Lots. It's a very overly photographed spot. But that's
still.
because it's such a great spot to go to. So thumbs
Right.
up for that.
Yeah. It's literally where all the industrial stuff is.
Yep.
Okay, number 9, Port Cleveland. I know about this. It's like a little like cafe, like for coffee and stuff. It's right before you enter the arcade, actually.
Again, this is one of those places you go indoors, right?
Right, exactly.
To take photos.
Yeah, it's just it's because it's like kind of hip and kind of like got these bland colors because everything's like, oh, it was cool before blue was a cool color.
I guess when they're talking about Instagrammable, and that's
Yeah,
what this
right,
list
exactly.
is, right? You're probably taking photos with your friends, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So-
And plus, it's the foodie thing too because it's a cafe.
Right. So you're just taking pictures of photo and putting on your Instagram
Yeah, right. So, but it's good to have the professional photographer though, so that way
of your food. Did I say photo? Did I just say take a picture of your photo?
I was going to let it slide.
Take
I
a
was
picture
like,
of your food.
oh.
Yeah, right. Well, take a picture of your photo.
Yeah.
But of course, we have the professional photographer because our listeners are very. I expect the highest class
High
when it comes to
level
us.
of critiquing.
Oh yes,
Opinions that are offered. And if you get our endorsement, your endorsement from the podcast, that's a big deal.
How do you guys feel about? I know there are people on my Facebook who hate when people take pictures of their food. How do you guys feel?
I
about
don't like it either
Yeah.
because I want to eat it. It's like, why are you taking the darn picture? Just eat the food. It's just like someone made it not for the purpose of it being artistry. It's meant to go in your stomach. So it's going click, 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 and then all of a sudden they eat it and they go, ah. It doesn't really make much sense. I'd rather just have the food in front of me and just eat the whole thing. The most delicious food I've ever had is the ugliest looking thing I've ever seen.
That's probably true.
Because I had these oysters, right, in New Orleans, and they just put some green shit on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you think they took out the boogers of a cow and just put it on top of the oyster. I'm not even kidding you. And you eat that thing and you want more and more. By the way, this restaurant also has the amount of customers that have ordered it. I was the 1,400,000th customer. 900 something.
And I suppose as a fan of fried food,
Yeah, all things fried. I'm all about that. I mean, it's in regards to
that's
taking.
probably not a great photo.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I totally agree with Fred about the food.
Oh, no, it
that's
wasn't
usually,
fried. The oyster wasn't fried.
Well, the food that's least presentable is usually most satisfying to eat. So for me, it's like if I see food pictures on Instagram, most of the time it is like hamburgers and french fries or just something really unoriginal, unimpressive like that.
Right.
Only time I'm impressed by food photography, if you're trying to figure out how to impress Jacob Chabowski. The only time I'm impressed with food photography is if the chef put a lot of effort into the presentation of the food.
Right.
So
Right.
those high-end type of establishments where
Yeah, right.
usually you're not going to get as much food and you're there for a fancy event. But if you're just taking pictures of, your Corona on the beach or hamburgers, and I'm scrolling through that. I'm not impressed.
Right. So the number 10 is the Hope Memorial Bridge.
Which bridge is that?
That one is, I think that's actually
The West 25th?
This is the one that connects East and West.
Oh, this is the one with the statues.
With the
of-
statues,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yep, yes, that's going to
what are,
like
who
Ohio
are those? Are
City.
Greek gods, right?
I think so.
Is that what they are?
I'm pretty. Oh.
And
It's called the Guardians of Traffic, built by Frank Walker and Henry Herring. No, it's a Herring because there's not a second R.
that bridge is in every like movie of about Cleveland. I think it was in Major League, if I'm not mistaken.
I suppose.
Yeah, I like that. I'll give that a thumbs up. I've seen a lot of good pictures, both daytime and nighttime, of those statues.
But this is number 1.
Oh no, this is number 10.
Oh, number 10. Okay.
And then number 11's another food place, so we'll just ignore it because it's meant to be eat, not to be. And another place, Brew Nuts for donuts. Which
Where is that?
It's like on Detroit. It's exactly on Detroit, 6501 Detroit Road. So if you want donuts, 6501 Detroit Road.
That is in, I'm forgetting the name of the neighborhood, near West 65th in Detroit. I just drove by there today, and I saw that establishment, and I was like, I didn't know it existed, and I don't know how I feel about that.
The donuts look good, though, from the looks of these pictures, although one has like a margarita looking like those miniature little umbrellas you put into like drinks and stuff. And I think I'm kind of low-key triggered.
So Brew Nuts is alcohol and donuts?
I think so, yeah.
That's what I'm struggling with, is like, I've never had a drink and wished I had a donut to go along with it. And I've never had a donut and wished I had a drink to go along with it.
Right. But moving on, number 13, because we skipped a couple, because it's all a bunch of boring food places with food that you're supposed to eat and not take photos of. So take note, listeners. Eat the food. Don't take pictures of it. West Side Market.
Yes. I did a meetup photo club there maybe about a year ago. And tons of cool photo ops. That's a place where like a prime lens is good. Like when you go inside to these public places, assuming they're okay with photography, the prime lens, 50 millimeter, nice, small, lightweight, carry that around. Because people don't like when you're taking pictures of them in line buying fish at the West Side Market. So, but yes, huge vote of confidence in photography at the West Side Market.
I guess what you need is a model, like somebody who likes to have.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, if you got one. See, most of my friends, like, they're like, oh, I don't want to have my picture taken. But I don't think I've really ever had the opportunity to work with a model.
Right.
Well, then now you do. One time I was, I think I told the story already, but I one time did a little baby or like young child modeling, got into it. I think I got like really high up in the national photo contest. So technically you could take photos of me and all of my mud.
What was the criteria on the photo con? What were you
Just be
looking for?
cute.
Okay.
We have a mutual friend who is begging for people to take photos of him.
Why? Of him doing what? Just being there?
Yeah, he just likes photos taken of himself.
I have a couple of friends that are always on me for LinkedIn headshots.
Yeah.
It's like, I just took one of you 2 months ago. I didn't like that one. I didn't like my tie color. Like, that's a you problem. It's not a me problem.
Okay, so then the next one, which hopefully I'll get to 1 second. Number 14 is another restaurant, the Flying Fig, which I don't even know what that is. It's another like cafeteria.
What are you? So you're just taking pictures of food, basically, is what they're saying when you go into a restaurant. Take pictures of food.
All about food.
Maybe we should go down a different route. What are the best places that you would say to take a photo? Like let's say you're a visitor to new to the city.
I mean, we've hit one of them, West Side Market.
Right.
I would say I would expand it to say really up and down that strip, West 25th, especially at night. If you're into night photography, street photography, I mean, there's, especially on a Friday or a Saturday night, there's a bunch of interesting things happening on West 25th. And then I'd also say Edgewater. I'm really surprised that Edgewater hasn't been mentioned yet. It's like a taste of Miami in Cleveland. It's a sand beach. The This is Cleveland script signs that they've got up at Edgewater, the location downtown, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Trying to think of other places. Public Square, again, a good spot for street photography, and couple spots down in the flats as well. Log cabin spot that I'm thinking of. So those are some good spots to start with.
Okay. Well, that's all pretty wonderful. 1 second as
We're going to take a second break.
take a quick second. Something came up.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have terrible news. Caesar died. His salad got toasted. But good news, I have a new co-host. DC, take it away.
Hello, I'm a DC, a superhero. The easiest way to listen to the podcast is to visit theclevelandpodcast.com. The best way to interact with the podcast is facebook.com/The Cleveland Podcast. Also, you can listen to the podcast on YouTube.
Hey, I'm back. What the heck are you guys doing? I was just in the bathroom.
Oh, schnitzel. DC, run! Hi, I'm Joe Buck with Troy Aikman. Hello. And we're here today to say that the Cleveland podcast is resuming. Randy Moss did such a disgraceful act. Take it away, Fred. Thank you, Joe. You're as boring as usual. I hope you get to make out with Kyle Schwarber. So we went through the rest of the list, and it's kind of boring. So we're going to change subjects because our guests deserve better. Jacob.
Yes.
What would you recommend for up-and-coming photographers, those who might be more Instagrammy or those who really want to go into the professional realm?
Well, that's a good question. What I always tell people is don't let anyone, first of all, define what photography is. Like I talked about earlier, there are some industry professionals that'll say your iPhone and Instagram is not photography. It absolutely is, whether it's capturing a moment or capturing a scene. So even if you just want to stay on as an amateur photographer and just do it for the Instagram likes, or better yet, just do it for yourself, that's fine. Stick with it. My advice, especially for people that maybe want to make a little bit of money off of photography, two things. Number one, don't feel pressured into going out and investing in thousands of dollars worth of lenses. Most of us just don't have the capability. It took me a long time to be able to save up and invest in the gear that I have. And so don't be intimidated. There's still times when I sit down next to a Cleveland.com photographer at a basketball game and he's capturing images on $10,000 worth of camera bodies and lenses.
Right.
I'll sit right next to that guy. Like, it doesn't matter to me the limitations of my gear or what the other guy's gear can do, because at the end of the day, I still differentiate myself from those photographers. And that's what it's really about too, is just finding what you're most interested in. So if you're happy being an amateur photographer, posting your stuff on Instagram, keep doing it. If you want to get into it professionally and make a few bucks off of it, find a way to separate yourself, differentiate yourself from the other photographers. And then lastly, don't be afraid to make connections. That's what I love about photography the most, is it's gotten me to events, to venues. It's gotten me in a network that I wouldn't be in if it wasn't for photography. And I owe a lot to, was talking about earlier, John Carroll University, Dan Morgan, everybody at Lakewood Observer, Jim O'Brien, like all of the assignments that I've gotten, I didn't get on my own merits. I got them because somebody else endorsed me.
What is your strategy for making network connections?
Being social, having conversations, sitting down, photographers that take it super competitively are stupid in my opinion. Like, yeah, you want your images to get the most play, but guys that'll sit down next to you on the baseline at a high school basketball game, give you the cold shoulder, like even try to like block your shot. Those guys are few and far between. But just be social, be conversational. And when you meet a photographer that can serve as a mentor for you, definitely take advantage of that. Help them promote their stuff and listen to the advice that they have. Because like I said, in today's day and age, I don't think you're going to have people, at least I haven't in the years that I've been doing it, you're not going to have people reach out to you randomly and be like, oh, I saw your stuff on Twitter. Most of your connections, most of your referrals are going to come from people, photographers, organizations that you've dealt with in real life.
Ironically, the only time I've ever got paid for a photograph, I put it up on, I think it was Photo Bucket at the time.
Really?
It was a picture of the Columbus Clippers baseball stadium, like in the first year. And somebody randomly like, hey, can we give you $150 for this photo?
That's crazy.
I'm like, okay.
You're one of the few photographers I've heard that actually happen because everybody will do it. Like they'll jump on with the hashtags and they'll try to tag as many accounts as possible. And the fact that you got somebody, I'll have people reach out to me that want to use my stuff. Never pay for it.
Right.
You know, I've had news organizations reach out and say, saw you took pictures of a house fire. Can we run those? And I'm like, yeah, here's my rates. And they're like, no. So that's impressive that you got paid too.
And I was just thinking, you know, anybody could take this and use it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, and I never know about it. Like, I think this was some publication out in California. And I'm like, well, if I get the check, I get the check. And then one day, all of a sudden, I get the mail and there's like a check for $150. I'm like, sweet.
I could go on an entire rant about people not understanding like intellectual property. And I don't say that to be an elitist. And there are certain organizations and people where if you ask, I'll let you have some images for free.
Right.
But it's especially in the Midwest, everyone's just like, can I use that picture? Not even thinking to ask to pay for it. And it's like, I'm trying to make a living and invest in that. Like, this is a job for me.
Right. Memes are an interesting world where people are just kind of taking other people's photographs and then posting them online. I see it on Reddit too.
No credit.
Right.
No credit. Yeah, you see like reposts on Reddit. Like photographer posts something, you know, gets a few upvotes, gets reposted, 10,000 upvotes. Not that upvotes are going to pay the bills, but I mean, I've seen that happen plenty too with reposts and retweets of other people's stuff.
Absolutely. I think my version of networking is pretty much I buy them a cookie and I say, you will eat this cookie. You will enjoy it. By the way, I'm Fred. Well, that was all well and good. And of course, any other advice, any tips?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said, have fun with photography. It's going to get you into events and venues and get you working with organizations. Find something you're passionate about and just enjoy the ride, whether you do it as an amateur, as a professional. Got to have fun with it.
So where can we find all this wonderful advice, these wonderful photos, Mr. Chabowski?
Oh, I'm so happy that you asked. I was not prepared at all for this question.
Shocker.
I'm shocked. Oh, I've got to think. I'm on all the social media accounts, Twitter and especially Instagram. My last name's a little tough to spell, so it's just JC, my initials, JC Photos 17. That's Instagram, that's Twitter. And I also am on Facebook under my name, Jacob Chabowski. And once you find me on social media accounts, you can find my Tumblr page, my portfolio, my email, always looking for new assignments. And if you're a new photographer, particularly high school, college-aged listener, and you're just starting out, you have questions, more than happy to answer them, more than happy to try to get you some assignments because people did that for me. So I want to turn around and do that for those that come after me.
If somebody is interested in hiring you, what type of photography do you do?
Mainly event photography, sports photography. I'll do some portraits, some studio stuff, but I kind of pitch myself as an event/sports photographer.
I mean, you could just say, I know the Kelsey brothers, and if you don't hire me, I'll get them to break your back.
They're big guys too. They could do it. I don't know if they would, but they could. They're big guys.
Just say, I was the one guy that made you laugh for like 2 seconds. Well, other than that, thank you so much, Jacob, for being here tonight on this wonderful Cleveland podcast episode, our second guest ever. Thank God.
It was great having you.
We pray to God that we get one more and continue to do that from there. Everyone, this is the greatest bullshit you'll find on the internet. Later.
Thank you guys so much. I'm happy to be the first entree you've had during the podcast.